Welcome back to another episode of Clothing Brief and happy holidays. The season is here. Well, we have a lineup of some topics that have hit the headlines in the last week. And the first one up is a story we've been covering a little bit throughout the year. We've seen some challenges in the space of athletic apparel, and Lululemon being a leader in that space is one that's really been struggling in this last year. And Calvin McDonald, CEO, is stepping down. That's big news.
It is. I think that he's been under a lot of pressure for some time. I think the original founder, Chip Wilson, he established the company in '98. He served as CEO for many years. He has been a really outspoken critic of what's happening at Lululemon. He took out a full page in Wall Street Journal. I mean, he has been a little upset, and I think that McDonald's going to step down in January.
What are some things to note? Like why has Chip been so upset, and what is a lesson that other brands can learn from this?
Well, there's been a lot of criticism. And, a lot of the criticism has been, hey, watered down brand, trying to be everything to everybody. It's not really special anymore. There's been a lot of things that have gone on. And I think, the overall athletic market, globally looks to expand this year from about 320 billion to about 346 billion.
Oh, wow.
So it's about 7% increase. And Lululemon is tracking about that same. So from a revenue standpoint, it's not like we're seeing large declines or significant declines like we saw in a few luxury spaces. They're still kind of managing overall revenue increases. They're going to go from about 10.6 to about 11 billion. And so, the overall percentage is somewhere around 7%. But the interesting part is if you dive into the numbers a little bit deeper, America sales look like they're going to be down somewhere around 2%. Now they've opened new locations. They've figured out new ways to create revenue in the Americas. But if you dive even deeper and look at same store sales, this is an old thing when I was in retail, you wanted to see same store sales. How are stores performing if you balance the stores from year to year without new revenue coming in? It's down about 5%. What's making up the difference is a strong international growth of about 33%. So
some other markets are helping to supplement where the Americas are in a decline.
Yeah, and I would say, if a certain market's struggling for a degree, new business is going to help keep those revenues flowing. There's a certain amount of investment, like they're really targeting China. So there's a certain amount of investment that's required for these kind of newer international markets, but it makes sense for a company of their size. I think the real takeaways here is that, the criticism is that product lines are too predictable. It opens more of the door for other brands like Vuori and Alo to steal market share. They say the store experience is cluttered.
A lot of product.
Yeah, there needs to be, the assortment planning needs a little bit of an overhaul, and that they're questioning the reliance on the international market. If your core market's the U.S. and it's where your brand is the strongest, is long-term strategy growing the international market makes sense? I would tell you it might pay off. I mean, with recessionary concerns in the U.S. and other markets perhaps performing more strongly, we're seeing that despite tariffs and other things, China's still, boasting a strong economy. And we're talking, in previous episodes, we have spoken that the largest consumer class in the world will be China coming up. That I think that, while there's always room for improvement, while, a founder may have some challenges, the bloom's not completely off the rose for Lululemon, and I think that they'll sort things out. I'm sure there will be new management come, and have their own opinions, but
I would say that
let's continue to follow this.
Yeah,
I don't think it's all cut and dry.
I would say that this is also a really good example of how important it is to stay to your brand methodology, to really stay true to who you are. Lululemon, when it first hit the scene, was really known as a elevated, more technical product. And as SKUs expand in a store, I'm not sure that I've always seen that same level of focus on bringing this high techie performance.
Guess what? That's the challenge of a publicly traded company when you have stockholders and you've got a $10 billion growth and you're always looking for revenue. Expansion of a brand can lead to some of these challenges in pursuit of revenue.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Well, some new money is coming into play at Super Circle, who has raised $24 million to scale textile waste management and circular retail solutions. This is really wonderful in this conversation that we've been having on challenges within, how much our industry contributes to textile waste and sustainable conversation.
Yeah, the two-person team kind of launched this in 2022. It really is kind of a platform, a solution they're hoping for retailers to manage textile end of life.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we've had a lot of conversations about this. Once it goes through all the markdown channels, it's not able to be liquidated in the way that they want. So a lot of this ends up in landfills. So they're trying to produce or provide an alternative. And so they're using a lot of pretty interesting technology, certainly AI, it's at the tip of everyone's tongue, to kind of sort and route these items to the best use next life. What's the most profitable? What's the most sustainable decision? Can we recycle it? Can we upcycle it? Can we resell it in different areas? And so it's now pulled on about 75 different brand partners, and some of them are people that we all know, which is great. J. Crew, Guess, Reformation, Figs, and Parachute, which is really cool. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, there is a current point of view that we don't have to worry about this stuff in the US, but I'm glad to see that these groups are continuing to aggressively understand the reality that we do.
Yes.
And pursuing this down the path.
That's great. You mentioned AI, a school that we really appreciate, Istituto Marangoni. We had a wonderful conversation with Ava Hughes that has a key role there. They are launching an AI-focused program that is helping students to really hone in those skills.
Yeah, and I think it's important. Technology is moving faster. We talked a little bit about then educators can create curriculums, but this is an important aspect. And so designers are going to have to grapple with AI, and we, even at STARS, are using AI quite a bit for ideation. And I think Istituto Marangoni is working on helping designers navigate AI. We talk about how AI can be very, very literal. Designers can be very creative. So the language interface that goes on to help AI help designers ideate, or Hong Kong Polytechnic has a AI program where you can send in a pretty rough sketch and it blows out a pretty realistic looking dress. So it helps visualize garments. All of this is going to be integrated into the world of apparel as we know it.
Yeah, really. It's really opens the door to a whole new set of talent coming into the industry as well. I mean, we talk about how many different roles there are in this industry. It's not just about being a designer, and there are so many different skill sets and talents, and having AI come into our space as it is really is a whole new set of opportunity.
Yeah, and for those of students that are excited about that, it's launching in the Milan and Florence campus. Then it's going to do London and Paris. It's not in the Miami campus in the US yet, but keep an eye out.
So this next thought that we're going to discuss today really is more for our consumers out there. There's been some evolution in holiday shopping and return policies. And so I'm kind of curious, what do you think has inspired all of this evolution, and what should people really be considering?
The inspiration for retailers is probably increased costs
Yeah.
based upon tariffs and loss of profit due to the costs of transportation, returns, and exchanges. As people are buying more and more online, obviously those transportation costs are more and more
Mhm.
expensive, and returns and exchanges can greatly affect the profitability,
Right.
especially when they're grappling with increased costs, still downward pressure, as we mentioned in previous episodes, to have some sale and discount kind of things.
Mhm.
We look like it's early,
Yeah.
but it looks like the season's going to be good.
Yeah.
That people are out there shopping. That's good for
There was some early
retailers.
speculation that,
Could be
people were a little
soft.
nervous about
Yeah.
it. Yes. But
Yeah, but it looks to be good. But I think people should certainly be aware of kind of the adjustments. Almost 3/4 of the stores out there are charging some type of a return or restocking fee. That's a major
Mhm.
shift.
that is.
So make sure that you're aware of those as you're making purchasing decisions. And groups like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, things like that. If you're mailing back returns,
Mhm.
fees can be as high as $11 or $12, and Macy's is 9 to 10. J.C. Penney's looking about 8. J. Crew's looking about 750.
Mhm.
And so, makes sense to bring it back
Sure.
directly, get in the car sometimes and go do that. So those
Yeah.
things make sense.
Yeah, it's a different world out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these are things that once they're implemented will likely not go away. So it might inspire maybe smarter shopping behavior.
Always evolution. As technology
Yeah.
finds a way and we get comfortable with a certain way of doing business, people recognize that it's important to make sure that companies stick around. Profit helps companies stick around. So
Mhm.
they figure that out. I think long term, AI is going to step in and help retailers with decision making on, you know, how much to charge clients, whether
Yeah.
to charge certain clients nothing because they're great shoppers,
Yeah.
and others that have a history of a large return,
Right. Buying
perhaps
multiple
higher levels.
sizes
Yeah.
of a style and so forth. Yes. Bracketing, if you will.
Yes.
The last story, it falls under the fast fashion category. It seems like this is another category that we've been hitting on a lot lately. Temu recently had a raid in their Dublin headquarters by EU regulators. What happened?
Well, Shein's thrilled that they're not in the news for some stuff right now in Europe.
Right.
Temu gets to pick up this whole thing. There's this. They've launched a formal investigation under EU's formal subsidies regulation, and the probe's trying to examine whether this Chinese-owned e-commerce platform is benefiting from state subsidies from Beijing that could give it unfair competitive
Mhm.
advantage.
Mhm.
Most countries around the world, like in export, they give exporters drawbacks, they give them incentives to build business. And so China here is trying to compete more aggressively, I think, in the European space, much like we talked about
Mhm.
Shein's trying to step into that space. And so to create an air of more affordability, to gain a footprint. This is kind of a Japanese philosophy where go in, command the market, do whatever it takes to command the market, become the name in the
Oh,
market,
yes.
then make profit. The Chinese
Yeah.
are adopting, I think, that strategy where, and that's a concern
Wasn't that
for
also
Europe.
an Amazon strategy?
Yeah, it was an Amazon.
Right?
It's a good strategy if you've got the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
But Temu is actually there's a concern that under EU rules, they're kind of managing a process that
Yeah.
unfairly allows unfair competition to other people in
And
the
that
EU.
harms existing businesses.
Yeah.
Right. So I can understand that. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that how that unfolds. Well, we have had a pretty wild week, I'm sure. And the next week, will it be our last one of the year? No, We have 2 more yet this year to come. My goodness. Can you
I won't be here
believe-
because I have to go Christmas shopping. So you're going to have to handle it next week.
We have 2 yet just this year. Thank you for joining us on this new adventure of bringing you the weekly updates. We do have some wonderful episodes coming out on our longer platform podcast, Clothing Culture. We're going to be bringing you some things to be thinking about as we enter the new year of 2026. Get used to writing that, 2026.
I'll figure that out around July. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Happy holidays once again. Do not forget to subscribe to stay apprised of upcoming episodes.